Body condition scoring has been around since the early 80s. It was actually developed in 1983 by a graduate student with horses and really didn't take off probably until later in the 90s, but even today, it's not a tool that I see common with horse owners. In my judgment, to nutritionally manage a horse, the most important tool you have is to body condition the score. That scoring system is looking at external fat. That's all. Not looking at muscling, not looking at bone structure. It's only concerned about the fat layer that lies underneath the skin. And that's an indicative of whether the horse is too thin, just right, or too fat. And I'm going to show you how to go through and do this. It takes a bit of time to develop some skill, but it's actually very quickly. You can do it visually if you do it during the time when the horse doesn't have a winter coat, but it's always important to put your hands on the horse so you're learning about how much fat is in the different body parts. On Dr. Bray's corner, you'll find a chart that shows the different body parts we work with. So I'm not going to outline everything as we go through, but that's a reference point for you. In the body condition scoring system, I first want to look at that horse from a distance and get an overall view of whether the horse is in the bottom third, the middle third, or the top third. Now I say thirds because the scoring system is 1 to 9. 1 saying the horse is emaciated, 9 saying the horse is morbidly obese. So in the scoring system, I got an overview. Then I like to look at the horse at a 45-degree angle off of his shoulder. And then I also like to go around to his rear and look from his rear so I can see the curvature around his butt, look on top of his back. Since he's moving around a lot, I'm just not going to do that at this particular moment because I've already scored him. So the body parts I'm looking at the transition, the smoothness from the neck into the shoulder and withers. This horse has a smooth transition that occurs. This is overall what you look for a horse in the 5 category. So I'm looking for a smooth transition from the neck into the shoulder. I'm looking for the withers to be evident with a slight roundness, but not pronounced. But we'll talk about exceptions in a little bit at the end of this presentation. The other part is I look for fat behind the point of shoulder. When a horse gets behind the point of elbow, when a horse gets morbidly obese, there is more fat that accumulates there. And then the ribs. Most people use the ribs when they look at a horse and say, oh, I can see his ribs, he's too thin. I'll talk about exceptions again at the end. That is only one of 10 body parts that we look at. So once I have the horse, I will take my hand and I will rub to press down to feel how much pressure it takes for me to feel his ribs. On a condition score 5, which is ideal, that horse, you will faintly feel the ribs as you go across. When I do that, I do it in this upper quadrant. I don't care about towards the rear end. I don't care about the underbelly. I just want to see where the ribs feel. Are they spongy? Are the ribs easily felt? Are they easily seen? So I'll rub my hand, get a sense by pressuring, feeling if there's any sponginess there. Then I'll move back to the horses to the point of hips. These are rounded because the horse is not in emaciated condition. Bone structure is more evident when the horse is very thin, and that's part of the angularity. The back is flat. You look over, the back is flat. That is in the 5 category. If it's in a crease or a V shape, that tells you there's more fat layer. When it's in a peak, that tells you the horse is very thin. Again, we'll talk about exceptions in a little bit. So this horse, the back appears flat. That's one area. And then I move back. I also feel for the point of buttocks. It's this, but at the horse, I've already determined where this horse was in its body condition score. I'm just looking for confirmation. And then I go through the tail head. And I'm feeling for sponginess. And I'm looking for the tail head in the 5 category to start feeling with a little bit of a bounce. Now, this is important. We are not goosing that horse. You think about when you first met your love of your life, where you just kind of caressed it. You want to be able to go and just push down and feel the sponginess. And I go on both sides of the horse. Once I have an idea of where I think this horse would be, then I back off and I take another look. Take a look at the angle off his shoulder. I'll walk behind, and I will now since I've already gone through his body. I'll take a look to see if it confirms where I feel he is. This is a 2-year-old. 2-year-olds can be a bit deceiving because they're still going through a growth phase, not so much as in bone structure, but what we call drying out, where the muscle-fat relationship is beginning to dynamically change. So this horse, in my judgment, is a 5.5. Oh, it doesn't have 5.5 in that scoring system. That's just showing a little bit of precision of where we think the horse would be. He's more than a 5, but hasn't quite hit a 6. So we're just going to call him the 5.5. So I consider this horse in pretty good shape for a 2-year-old. And that's how we body condition score a horse. Let me tell you about some exceptions. These exceptions are age. When a horse, think about you, if any of you are older who are here, how your body begins to sag a little bit. Well, that happens with age. And when that happens with the horse, the ribs will show. So when a horse gets into an older category and the ribs are showing, I will usually just dismiss it. And I think we have an example to show you in a little bit. I'll dismiss it. So age is a factor. Prepartum mares who haven't given birth, when they're starting to give belly sag and the fetus is at the stage where it's gone over the pelvic wall, that creates a pull. We dismiss the ribs as well. I told you conformation is not a factor in scoring. It is a factor relative to if they are extremely high withers and long back. We're going to discount the withers and the transition into the shoulder. If the horse is very long in its back, that will occur. Long back horses are usually short hip. So you start putting more emphasis on the point of buttocks, the transitions that we can see, and make your call from there. And that's how we body condition score a horse.